we celebrate our accomplishments and learn from incredible mentors in our community. We're recognizing the change makers and heroes among us, women who show us what it means to be strong, smart, and bold. Hi, I'm Diya, and I'm honored to highlight a woman who is dedicated to human rights and empowering women across the world, the CEO of the Carter Center, Paige Alexander. Ms. Alexander is an Atlanta area native who joined the Carter Center as Chief Executive Officer in June 2020. She has had a distinguished global development career with over 2 decades of experience spanning the government and nonprofit sectors. She's currently working on the Inform Women Transform Lives campaign with the City of Atlanta and 13 cities worldwide. The goal of the campaign is to raise awareness of women's right to information and to support cities in reaching women with information about available services that are underutilized. Welcome, Ms. Alexander. We're so excited to have you join us on Girls Lead the Conversation.
Thanks, Diya. It's great to be here with you today.
Girls Inc. inspires girls to be strong, smart, and bold. What inspired you to create the Inform Women Transform Lives campaign, and why is it important to you?
Well, so I came into this job in the middle of a pandemic. So as we were talking about, I moved from Europe to take the job, but I grew up in Atlanta and I've lived all over the world. And so it has been a really interesting time to sort of see what access to information, what access to technology really helps us connect in ways that we couldn't connect before. But women don't always have that opportunity. So about 10 years ago, before I was here, President Carter had challenged our staff to say, you're talking about access to information being difficult for women, but give me the proof. Like, I want to see a focus group. I want to see a certain methodology used to make a determination that we really need to be focusing on access to information for women's lives and for what purpose. And that's how the Inform Women Transform Lives campaign was birthed. And so, the reality is it's a hard fight for human rights, and it begins with changing attitudes. And so for us, the key to changing is to start with delivering trainings and tools that are culturally relevant. So we picked 13 cities. We had a competition, and 13 cities applied, and mayors from 13 cities applied to say, what is it that we as a city already do, but the message isn't getting out to women? So in the United States, we have Chicago and we have Atlanta. And so if you're driving down the road in Atlanta, you can see on the back of buses, you can see billboards talking about what the mayor's office is doing here to help inform women and transform lives, to give them access to the city services that they might not otherwise know about. So we're helping to publicize it. We're trying to bring attention to it. Same thing in Chicago. They have these 311 cards, which are ID cards that can be used for a number of different things, but women weren't picking up on the ID cards. And so how do we help them push out the message? And we are all over the world in 13 cities. We're going to launch our next cohort. But I think really what we find is this access to information can change a woman's life. So that's why we are running this program now.
The whole concept that women might not even be getting access to information is something that, like, I feel like is not even well known. Like, that's not even something I thought about when you think about like inequalities between men and women. So that's very interesting to me. Thanks for sharing that. How did you choose your career path?
The career path chose me in a certain way. I had been active politically and had started on a political campaign and ended up meeting someone who was doing a lot on the international development and foreign affairs work. And he was about to go overseas, and we started dating, and I decided I was going to follow him overseas. And that really gave me the bug to do international development work. And once you're culturally steeped in a country that is you're not just there visiting, but you're actually living there, you realize the privilege that you as an American have, and what are some of the tools that you've seen that resonated in your own life, and the changes that a lot of these developing countries are going through, and where can you be helpful? Where can you add assistance? And so for me, it just felt like it was this constant ability to sort of be part of change throughout different developing countries that I've worked in, and to be part of that change is really exciting. And once you get a little taste of that, it's hard to think that you're going to get a corporate job and sit somewhere or go to law school and go through that process. All of these different occupations have benefits, but you know, when it hits you that you want to do something. So that's how I ended up in this field.
That's very interesting, actually. Like, I love that you were able to like actually create change when you saw a problem. That's amazing. Um, I love learning about science. So what is your favorite subject, or what was your favorite subject in school?
My favorite subject is still my favorite subject. I think it's history. I would say, because if you don't know your history, you're doomed to repeat it. And so I think it's part of a lesson, a life lesson learned. Recognizing the history of the place that you come from, the places that you're going to, and that really builds the culture that you are immersing yourself in. And so I think it's important to understand that, so you have a touch point for what things were. And if those are things you want to go back to historically, you can prove that there's precedents that you've been there, so you can do it. If there are things that you definitely do not want to repeat, like World War II, then you make sure that those are things that you're not finding yourself driving towards. So I still love history.
Yeah, that's a very unique interpretation of the value of history, because I feel like it's not a very well liked subject in school, but now that I think about it in that way, it's actually pretty interesting. I value my education a lot at Girls Inc., and we also believe in the power of mentors. Who are your role models growing up, and who are they now?
Probably my role models growing up with my parents, especially my mom. She was very active. She was raising 4 kids. I was the youngest and the only girl in my family. And I remember when my mom sort of picked me up from school one day and said that she was thinking about going back to work. And she was running Leadership Atlanta, which is a program here for leadership for people in the sector, throughout government, the nonprofit sector, and corporate leaders in Atlanta. And she really felt like the city she lived in needed to be explained to people who are also living here, who are very focused on their jobs. So she asked me, I want to go back to work. How would you feel about that? And I was surprised, one, that she asked me. I thought she had a full-time job raising us, but I also realized that what she wanted to do was so important, and other people can enjoy sort of the skills that she brought to our family, that she should be doing that elsewhere. So she was my role model growing up, and and I'm back here because she's still one of my role models, and she's still here. So
hearing about strong women always like makes me so happy. Like, she seems like such a strong person. So, and her career is probably amazing at Leadership Atlanta. So if you could give advice to the teenage you, what would you say?
I would say be nice. I think being nice is underrated. It's, people, there's the idiom that, nice guys finish last. And I just don't find that in my entire personal and professional career to have been true. I think people remember nice people, and they also remember the opposite. And so there's a benefit for knowing people on the way up are going to be the same people that are there on the way down. And so it's not a matter of like getting to that stage. It's a matter of sort of bringing people along with you. And so I would definitely say be nice.
I definitely agree. That's something that a lot of people these days could work on for sure.
That's
Finally, when was there a time in your life that you needed to be strong, smart, and bold?
I think you always need to be strong, smart, and bold. I think it's nothing in particular stands out to me. As I say, I've lived around the world and I've traveled the world, and in any given new situation, I feel like I need to be strong, safe, healthy, bold, all of the things. And being a woman often puts you in a situation where you might feel more the need to do that than some of my male counterparts. But you should always be, strong, smart, and bold, I think.
Well, just out of my own curiosity, it seems like you've had an amazing career traveling the world, seeing all these places. Could you elaborate, like where have you been, stuff like that?
I keep thinking I need to count up the number of countries I've been to. I will say I spent a lot of time in Central and Eastern Europe. So primarily the former Soviet sphere. That's where professionally I started. I lived in Prague when I followed that guy overseas, who's now my husband and the father of our 3 kids. We lived in Prague right after the wall came down. So it was a very exciting time. And that was really the focus of the majority of the first part of my professional career. And then I started working in the Middle East and North Africa. And it really hasn't been it's been the last 3 years that I've focused primarily on sub-Saharan Africa. And so for me, it is the exciting places that I've been really are the people I work with closest on the ground. And that's, I'd say, Ethiopia, Rwanda, Mali are probably my favorite African, sub-Saharan African countries. But I do love the Middle East. It's a very complicated place. And that is something that always entices me because, again, you know the experience that you come from, but when you walk into a new experience, you're always trying to figure out, how do I fit in, or what are my experiences? How are they relevant to this? And I have very little of that in Africa. So I'm totally a fish out of water there. And my looks and my knowledge of agriculture and almost anything I do, it's not the same as being in the Middle East or Central and Eastern Europe, where I look like everybody else, but my experiences are different. So I have found working in Africa to me has been probably the most rewarding work. And that's really just been the last 3 years of my career that's been the main focus.
That's very interesting. And thank you so much for speaking with me. It was inspiring to learn about you, and you are indeed strong, smart, and bold.
Well, thank you, and good luck with everything that you have ahead of you. I think it's an exciting time to be in high school. It's an exciting time to be a young woman with opportunities that are ahead of you. And so if I can be of help to you or any of your colleagues, please just feel free to give me a call.
Thank you so much.
Girls Inc. of Greater Atlanta is able to provide great programming and resources because of our kind donors and sponsors. This episode of Girls Lead the Conversation is made possible thanks to our friends at KPMG.
Thank you, Diya. What an amazing interview. I continue to be inspired and just eager to support such talented young women who I know will be future leaders. Hi, everyone. I'm Rasan Shears, a partner at KPMG based here in Atlanta. At KPMG, we believe that a strong and diverse workforce is what enables us to exceed the expectations of our clients. We also know that prioritizing the growth of women and creating space for them to authentically show up, innovate, inspire, and deliver is what we need as a profession and an organization. And it's partnerships like the one we have with Girls Inc. of Greater Atlanta that make me so proud of all the work we're doing today and for the future. We are about to celebrate the 100th anniversary of our Atlanta office. And as I think back across our history, it's partnerships like the one we have with Girls Inc. that have enabled us to be the difference maker in the profession and in our firm and in our community. Our first organization for women started right here in Atlanta. We have the most female partners right here in Atlanta. And I know that as we continue to work with Girls Inc. with a mission that I love, that aligns with what we are trying to do, not only for our organization, but for our community and women across the business world, that we will see continued expansion of the impact of women in the business world. As KPMG continues to partner with organizations like Girls Inc., I'm sure the next 100 years are going to exceed not only my expectation, but anything I can even imagine. Thank you for tuning in, and I hope that you will stand with us in supporting this amazing organization that inspires girls to be strong, smart, bold, and live lives of purpose.
Thanks for supporting Girls Inc. of Greater Atlanta. To learn more about us, check us out online at girlsincatl.org.